travel presented by Vintage Guitar Magazine with your host, me, James Patrick Regan, otherwise known as Jimmy from the Deadlies. And today I'm speaking with guitarist extraordinaire Phil X. In our conversation, Phil tells us about living in LA, his childhood in Toronto, and his early musical experiences being encouraged to play guitar by his father who played Bouzouki. Phil tells us about the bands he's played in, Aldo Nova, Triumph, Powder, and of course Bon Jovi, as well as his own band, Phil X and the Drills. Phil talks gear throughout the years, including his signature pickups from Arcane and his signature guitars, including his new Gibson SG, a body style he loves. He also tells us about how he worked at his father's restaurant to pay for his gear growing up. Phil tells us about his love of the P90 pickup, and Phil discusses his studio work playing on a lot of the American Idol stars' work, that is Kelly Clarkson and Daughtry, as well as Tommy Lee's solo work, Rob Zombie, and Alice Cooper. You can find a comprehensive list of the session work that Phil's played on at Phil's fan site. That's philxfanclub.com. Phil tells us about how he became a vocalist and how he developed his range. He sings the high part on Living on a Prayer with Bon Jovi Live. Phil tells us about Fretted Americana, a YouTube channel showcasing guitars that he plays. And we talk a little bit about NAMM and the places he'll be during the convention, as well as gigs coming up. Phil is active on the socials. His website is down right now, but he suggested his fan site is the place to find info. philxfanclub.com. That's philxfanclub.com. Please subscribe, like, comment, share, and most of all, review this podcast. I'd really appreciate it. And please support Vintage Guitar Magazine and all the wonderful things they do for us guitar players, because they do so many wonderful things for us guitar players. Here's my buddy Phil.
How you doing, man?
Good, how are you?
I'm awesome.
Good. Yeah, I figured
Mr.
you were.
James.
Yes, my name is James. Your name is Phil.
That's right.
How are you doing, Phil?
I'm good, man. Just, the season is upon us. And, the house is decorated and the outside is decorated. And the kids, I pulled the kids in a wagon around the neighborhood so they can see everybody else's lights. Yeah. And my kids are big, too. So that's the workout.
Like 22, 23?
They're not that big. They're 8 and 11. Yeah. Oh. You got two 20-year-olds in a wagon.
Whereabouts do you live? Not specifically.
I'm outside of LA, California.
Okay, very good.
Yeah.
Yeah, right on. And is it cold there right now?
There's a chill.
Okay.
My kids don't care.
Yeah.
I need a sweater or a light jacket, and they're like, I'm taking them to school this morning, and I'm like, X, you need a sweater. He's like, no, I don't. I'm like, okay, tough guy.
Aren't you from Montreal?
No, Toronto, actually.
Oh, Toronto.
So I know the cold.
Yes, you do. That's what I'm saying.
All about it. I moved to LA in '97 because I'm like, if I get a chill or something, my kid's like, you're Canadian. You should be able to handle this cold. And I'm like, dude, I've been in the States, in California specifically, for almost 30 years. The Canadian is gone.
But do you still like syrup?
Oh, yeah. And where are you at?
I am in Northern California. I'm in Napa.
Napa?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, that's what everybody says, but it's really just a tourist town. It's nice. It's it's nice. I can't complain.
As long as you can't complain.
As long as I can't complain. How many times have you done sessions where you had to sign an NDA?
I think it's signed all of them, right?
What?
Oh, no. There's a release.
Yeah.
So there's a release form, which is different than an NDA. But no, there hasn't been. There's been more NDA. I had to sign an NDA before I filled in for Richie Sambora.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I couldn't tell anyone. They didn't want anyone to know until I was actually on stage.
Wow.
Yeah.
I first heard about you through Greg V. You know Greg V?
Yeah.
Yeah. Greg V told me, oh, you got to check out this guy, Phil X. He's a badass. Oh, man. And you know what? He wasn't wrong. You're a badass.
That's funny.
You played with Aldo Nova?
I did, man. We go way back. That was like 1991.
Okay.
I was just talking about it the other day because we did. There was a couple of gigs that we did that were pretty amazing. Like there's a Houston Summit that happens in the arena there, and we did it, and it was Arcangels before the record came out.
Oh wow!
and it was like with Charlie Sexton and
of course. Yep.
Doyle.
Yep.
And then King's X did an acoustic set. And
Oh,
I was
my
a huge
goodness.
King's X fan.
Yeah.
And I'd seen him do an acoustic set in a small club in New York, but I'd never seen him do an acoustic set in an arena, so that was interesting. And then when we went on stage, Paul Rogers was there. He was doing press for The Firm. No, not The Firm, sorry. No, it was the band after The Firm.
Was the not Paul Rogers with Queen or was it?
No, it was between.
Okay.
What was it called? It was on the tip of my tongue. So Paul Rogers was there. He wasn't singing, but then, John Bon Jovi was there, and so we had learned Blaze of Glory to play anywhere that John was because we were on his label.
Okay.
And so he got on stage with us. He and Aldo sang Blood on the Bricks.
Wow.
Which was the single at the time. Yeah. And then John stayed on stage and sang Blaze of Glory, and we played that.
Wow.
And then Paul Rogers got on stage with us, and we played All Right Now.
Oh, wow.
With him and John trading verses.
Oh, my goodness.
So hearing that voice coming out of the monitor was like goosebumps. It was insane. He's one of the best singers of all time.
Yeah. So were you living in Toronto when you were playing with Aldo Nova?
Yes.
Okay. I'm glad you got it right.
Oh, dude, I had to think about it.
And how about Triumph? When you were playing with Triumph?
Yeah, I was living in Toronto. Actually, their studio, Metalworks, was literally from 20 minutes, not even 20 minutes, like 12 minutes from my mom's house.
Oh, wow.
So, and it's funny, every time, my mom's not with us now, but every time up until she was gone, anytime I went to visit her, I'd call Gil Moore, and I go, "Hey, I'm in town." He goes, "Done, I'm coming to get you. We're going to Tim Hortons." And we'd go get a coffee and catch up.
So basically you were filling the Rick Emmett part?
Well, yeah, I guess. I mean, Phil became the fill-in guy. You know, we went from filling in for Rick, and it was a weird time because it was a weird time for everybody. It was a weird time for them to try to record a record and do some shows without the guy that helped start it. And then it was weird for me to be the guy that, everybody expected the other guy, and you got to kind of be the face and the guitar of that band. The cool thing was about it was that I always liked Gil's voice. So he sang all the songs on that record, Edge of Excess, because there was Rick. And then when we went to play live, a lot of people don't remember, but the Sporting Kings tour was a 4-piece band. They had Rick Sanders from Canada filling in on second guitar, keys, and background vocals. So when we went and did shows to support Edge of Excess, we got Rick to do those shows with us. There was about 11 shows. Okay. And Rick Sanders sang Rick Emmett's songs. So he sang like The Good Fight. Yeah. Lay It on the Line. Magic Power. Wow. He sang all those songs, and he sang the shit out of them. He's an amazing singer.
Did you sing?
He's got the range.
Did you sing it all through the Triumph area?
I sang a Gil song.
Okay.
We did I Live for the Weekend.
Okay.
And he said, "Hey, can you sing this? I just want to play it." I'm like, "Yeah, man, no problem." So it was fun. Yeah. And then I remember, "Hey, you know that high note that you can do?" I'm like, "Yeah." "Can you do it in Allied Forces?" I'm like, "Yeah." Oh, the cool thing about this is there's a Triumph tribute record that's coming out this year. And so I played a lot of guitars on a lot of the songs. There's a lot of singers, a lot of drummers, a lot of bass players. It's all guests on this. Okay. And the cool thing, the first thing that I talked to, Mike Klink produced it. And the first thing I said to Mike Klink was, I want my band, as a band, Phil X and the Drills, to do Allied Forces. And he said, "Yeah, no problem." So that was pretty cool. And then I ended up doing some leads too. I did a lot of rhythm guitars on a lot of the songs that even have other lead players. I did really cool rhythm guitars for I Live for the Weekend. Uh-huh. And then I also did a solo, I think, on Hold On. I did all the lead work on Hold On.
Wow.
And but there's a lot of great singers on it. It's a really cool tribute record.
Right on.
Mike Klink did an amazing job putting that together.
Sure. Is it on Frontiers, or is it one of those?
I don't know. Oh. To be honest.
I'm going to find out. Eventually, somebody will tell me.
Somebody will tell you.
Yeah.
Don't worry. Probably when you buy it, it'll be on the bottom corner.
Exactly. Exactly. So, how early were you playing guitar?
I started playing when I was 5.
Okay.
And it was more of something that my dad. I grew up in a family full of music and Greek music. So my dad played a bouzouki. Okay. So, and I just think he couldn't put a band together because he had to be a dad and have a full-time job. So I think he wanted an accompaniment. Yeah. He got my older sister playing accordion and got me playing guitar. Yeah. And she didn't last long, but once I started playing guitar, that was it, man. That was it. It's funny. We all loved Elvis in our house. If it wasn't Greek music playing, it was probably Elvis Presley. So by the time I was 8, I had an Elvis set, and it was Teddy Bear and Blue Suede Shoes.
Oh, wow.
And we were at a wedding, and my dad was like, hey, why don't you get up and do your Elvis songs? And I was like, no way, there's too many people here. Yeah. But my dad was like, no, you can do it. You're going to do it. And he walked up to the band. The Greek band was having dinner, taking a break. And he's like, perfect time. So he goes over to the band, and he's like a general. He walks over and he goes, my son's going to play some songs. He needs your guitar and your microphone. And they're like, yes, sure. So I'm 8 doing my thing, man. And I didn't think it was going over well. Because everybody was so quiet. Yeah. But I think everybody was in shock. Yeah. I think is what it was. So when I was done, there was a standing ovation, and girls wanted to give me attention, all this stuff, and I'm like, wow, this is it, man. This is what I'm gonna do. Yeah, that's all my dad's fault.
Is there a large Greek population in Toronto?
The Greek community in Toronto is incredible. Okay, huge, and we have cousins in Chicago, New York, and also huge Greek communities. It's funny because my parents met at a Greek picnic. Okay. Like my dad was just playing bouzouki at the picnic because he just took his bouzouki anywhere. And when he took his bouzouki anywhere, it was like Elvis was in the building. So anyway, he was playing bouzouki at this picnic, and my mom came over and she liked the bouzouki and she started singing. And then he's like, I'm going to make this woman my wife. And then bam, 4 kids. Number 2.
Oh, you're number 2. Right on. Yeah. And your sister's number 1. Mm-hmm. The accordion player. Yep. Very good. Very good. And so, did you? You started that early. Were you playing guitar in high school and stuff? Did they have jazz band?
You know what? I'm going through in my mind of all these memories of. I don't remember what I played earlier than the 5th grade, but in the 5th grade there was a talent show, and I played It's Magic, Hotel California. Wow. And there was a 3rd song I don't remember.
You pulled off those solos in 5th grade?
I don't want to say I don't want to say it was accurate. Nobody showed it to me. There was no YouTube. I was just figuring it out by myself. By myself. So there's that. But it was when I turned 11 that I got turned on to Ted Nugent. Okay. So grade 6, I went on stage and I played 2 songs that I wrote. Wow. And that bombed. That didn't do well. So great. In the 7th grade, I did, I think I did Cat Scratch Fever.
Right on.
And maybe Free For All. I was way into Ted Nugent. So I probably did that in the 7th grade. And that was, again, I got a 75-foot long cable because I didn't even know. I don't know if there was I don't think I knew what a wireless unit was.
Sure.
And I was like, no band, just me playing and singing and running down the aisle in the cafeteria and then getting back on stage and finishing the song. Thank you, good night. I mean, I was rocking.
Yeah, you were. Yeah. So what kind of guitar did you have when you were that, and back in 11 years old?
Okay, so it was all like beaters for years.
Uh-huh.
But when I was 11, I said, Dad, I want to get a real guitar. Like, I didn't think a Gibson was within my grasp, but I was looking in the paper for Fenders.
Okay.
For secondhand Fenders, right?
Yeah, of course.
And my dad wanted to instill in me that you got to work for everything kind of thing. So I was washing dishes at his restaurant when I was 11 and not in school every Saturday. And I saved my 175 and he matched my 175 and we got a secondhand Strat for $350.
Right on.
Went to this weird guy's apartment, played the guitar. I was thinking, oh my God, I've seen Hendrix play one of these. The guys play these, and all these people that I watched were playing a Strat.
Sure.
So now I had a Strat. So really excited. And then it was only a few years before Eddie Van Halen came along, and I didn't have a router. So I chiseled out the body for a humbucker.
Yeah.
I went to Steve's Music on Queen Street, and I lived in Mississauga, so I even met. It's funny. I met when I met and became friends with Seymour Duncan years ago. I said, "Man, when I was 17, I wasn't even 17. It was earlier. I had to ride on a bus for 90 minutes, transfer to the TTC train, subway." To take one all the way to Spadina and then go south 5 or 6 stops and then walk a block to Steve's Music, and I bought a Seymour Duncan JB.
Wow.
And I put that in that Strat.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and it's, I got to say the two things. What's really funny about that is that, I have pickups with Arcane Inc.
Yeah.
And I think they're amazing. I use them on most of my guitars.
Uh-huh.
And I feel like when kids are like, hey, oh man, I want to get one of your pickups, but I can't afford it. I feel like saying, go mow some lawns, man.
Yeah, exactly.
I worked for my first Strat. I washed dishes at my dad's restaurant.
Yeah.
And then when I was older, I was bartending at my dad's restaurant.
Wow.
So I could buy a 412 cabinet. So, nothing's gonna come free, man. I mean, and I appreciated it more because I worked hard for it.
Sure, of course. Was your dad's restaurant a Greek restaurant?
No, it wasn't. It was more like a roadhouse.
Okay. Right.
Complete with fights.
Speaking of the 412 cabinet, what kind of amp did you have when you're younger?
Okay,
when you had that Strat?
When my band started playing, I remember when I had a full band when we played the 9th grade talent show, I think.
Wow. And
I had a JCM 800.
Wow.
And I bought that amp, and it came with I bought it with a Serwin Vega 412 cabinet.
Okay.
And it was taller because it had ported. It was ported on the bottom, ported on the top.
Yeah.
I remember you could take the grill off so it looked cooler like that.
Yeah, of course.
But it was like, it wasn't Tolex. It was gray, soundproof, acoustic, not a rug, but it was like...
no, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, like that.
Yeah,
felty,
that,
the felty kind
and it had a bright red stripes on it.
Yeah. And
it was the ugliest cabinet on the planet. So I wanted to use 2 cabinets when we played this one show, so I borrowed a 412 cabinet off a friend.
Uh-huh.
It didn't fit in the back seat. It didn't fit in the trunk of my dad's Gran Torino. So I had to put, bungee cable it into the trunk.
Yeah.
And then, so I had 2 cabinets, and I'm like, that's it. That's Urban Vegas got to go, because the Marshall just looked so cool. Yeah. So that stayed in the garage, and then I bought 1 Marshall cabinet. And then before I knew it, in high school, I had 2 heads and 2 412 cabinets.
Wow.
And I was like, wow, I'm building it. I'm building it.
And do you still have those to this day?
No, man. Everything's come and gone. I mean, I keep stuff now because I want to have the collection.
Yeah.
But it's all used. It's all used.
Yeah.
Even since I became a dad, and I don't have a vintage guitar collection, but I do have some really, really cool guitars and guitars that I love.
Sure.
I have a few prototypes of my signature SG that's coming out with Gibson.
Right on.
Next year.
Okay.
And those are the main guitars that I use, but I'm so in love with the SG. Yeah. I love Les Pauls, but I love the access on the high frets, the SG. And I'm a bigger guy, so I always thought that SG was a little thin, so my signature is an 1/8 inch thicker.
Oh, right on.
And it's got a 57 gold top neck profile.
Oh, right on.
And so it's balanced great. And I got the Tony Iommi strap peg in the horn.
Yeah.
So I put it on, and there's no neck. It never neck dives. It's all balanced out.
Right on.
So, and with Jim DeCola, the luthier, we've been working on special pickups for that guitar too. So it's coming together. It's been a long time coming, because it's just I signed off on it, and then bam, okay, I got a couple of changes, and they're like, well, that's going to put us behind. I'm like, what do you mean? What do you mean, you're Gibson?
What color is it?
That's one of the things they had to change. I saw a custom TV gold. It wasn't called TV gold, but it's like the gold on a really cool gold top, but transparent, so you see the grain of the mahogany. Yeah. And I go, I want that. Yeah. And then they made one, and there was too much copper to it, so back to the drawing board. But then they made two that are perfect. And then we had a meeting saying, well, you know what, this gold is particularly hard to nail on mahogany every time. Oh, so you might want to pick another color. And I'm like, but you're Gibson. And the thing is too, is I'm glad that conversation came up, because that guitar looks amazing. Like when you look at it on my stand, or you look at it on, but in lighting on stage, there's some angles it looks like sparkle gold, and other angles where it looks like antique furniture. And that's not rock and roll to me. So I'm glad we picked another color that's coming out. But and the pickups, I wanted to change. I love the mojo of dog ear P90s. They just, to me, have a mojo. Like Juniors, best sounding guitars ever, right? Of course. So I love that, but it's not unusual for me to be in a studio and I'm not getting enough. I'm either getting too much oomph or not enough oomph from a P90. So to get more oomph, I'll raise it, or get less oomph, I'd lower it. Yeah. And you can't do that with the dog ear unless you got shims handy, and that's a pain in the ass. So, guys, I want to lower. Let's do the soap bars. So we changed the dog ears to the soap bars. I think I compromised a little of the mojo of the dog ear for the
ability to move it,
access to height. Changing. So, and it was funny because I remember every time I talk about changing a pickup, I did a session with Tim Pierce in LA. And he actually called me up, because we at the time we were both like, if I wasn't available, they'd get Tim, and if Tim wasn't available, they'd get me. And he called me one time and he goes, hey, you busy Saturday? I'm like, no, why? You got something you can't do? And he goes, no, I got something I'm doing, but I want to have you on it as the second player. I convinced the artist to have two guitar players, make it more like AC/DC than one guy doing everything. Sure. And I'm like, well, how fucking cool is that? So anyways, I go into the studio and we're killing it. Like, the way our tuning stability, our pockets were matching, and we were sounding like we were like early Aerosmith, just everybody doing their thing. You go high, I go low, or I go low and you go high, and changing it up. And there was one time I was plugging into my plexi and I hit an A chord, and I thought it was a little too dirty. So I got out the screwdriver and I'm adjusting the height of the pickup. And Tim's like, hey, what are you doing? I go, I'm adjusting the height of the P90. He goes, you lowering it or raising it? I'm like, I'm lowering it. It's too hot. And he goes, cool. I mean, how many people are in that situation? And guys, before we do this take, I got to lower the pitch. You know, I just have that. I got that thing. It's kind of like I'm a fanatic about.
Yeah.
You know, if the guitar is a little too hot, why change guitars when you can just lower the pickup if the guitar is working and it's just a little bit too much output?
Yeah,
you
of course.
Lower the
that makes a lot of sense.
So, I'm a geek when it comes. I think guitar player is the new geek. You know, with overdrive pedals, pickups, amps, all that stuff. We just like the flavor of the week. Shit.
Yeah. Your signature guitar, is it going to have 2 pickups or just 1?
Well, I love 1 pickup because I can do everything I need to with it.
Yep.
But you know, Gibson, they have this. You know, they come in and they have this. Hey, you know what? Well, it would probably be more popular if it has 2 pickups. You know, and it's the same meeting I had with Dave Friedman. You know, I don't need an effects loop because I put everything in the front.
Sure.
But he's like, you know, a lot of guys like an effects loop. We should put an effects loop in your amp. And I'm like, okay. I'm not gonna go in like a bull in a china shop and make sure everything's exactly how I want it.
Yep.
I want everybody to be a team and see how it does.
Exactly.
That said, when I get a few, I already have a prototype that I already took the neck pickup out and put a face in there. Let me bring it. Hold on.
Okay.
This is also the guitar that had the copper, too much copper in the gold.
Okay.
So the paint miraculously just fell off.
Wow. That's crazy.
So wait, check it out.
Yeah,
so this came with a soap. I mean, sorry, it came with a dog ear.
Okay.
And this is the second wind of P90 that we're working on.
Okay.
That I asked them to make it so I could raise it and lower it.
Sure.
This is supposed to be me, but I call him Dirty Sanchez.
Yeah, it doesn't look like you.
And as you can see, buddy, I didn't mention this, 24 frets.
Oh, right on.
So,
how come there's no inlays that right up the 24th fret?
I don't know. Maybe they don't fit and they don't want to make one custom for the custom guy. But
God.
It's got this, you can see that it's got a pretty fat neck.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it looks pretty thick for an SG, right?
Sure. Yep.
Yeah, so that's an 1/8 inch thicker. And it does have a wraparound bridge, but I also love the look of this.
Yeah,
and I think maybe it participates in the balance.
Yeah.
Having the extra weight.
Yeah.
And
so
I'm a tune-up
like
guy.
a vibrola. I have to explain it because this is going to be audio only. So it's like a vibrola chassis, but there's no vibrola.
Wait, this is only audio?
Yeah.
Come on,
You
man.
can take off the fancy clothes now.
So, yeah. So, I mean, I thought I was showing everybody, but I'm just showing you. That's good enough.
Me. I'm gonna. We explained it. It's all good. I should.
Okay,
and
good.
I'll describe your room there. That you have a bunch of model trains or something behind you. That's pedals. You have lots of pedals.
Lots of pedal. And there's more pedals in there.
Oh, wow.
It's weird. I have the studio, and it's kick ass and soundproof and everything, but it killed the Wi-Fi. So I'm in the actual storeroom behind the studio.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right. How did you get? How did you land the job of getting all this studio work? And people just need to go to your website. Doesn't work right now, but if you go to your Wikipedia page, it's very impressive.
It's also if you want to go to a website,
yeah,
it's funny, but the official Phil X official fan page, their discography is so up to date and ridiculous. I'm like, why do I have a website when my fan website is better? But it's funny. I feel like people don't really go to websites anymore, but I guess they do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Because I'm going to ask you in just a little bit. I'm going to say you've only got 2 dates, like in the middle of the summer in Texas on your calendar, according to Bands in Town. So wouldn't you need to have a website to tell you where you're playing?
Yeah. See, I need to work on that. And I did have gigs in. I had 3 shows booked in January in Texas, and we had to move them to March.
Okay.
So I'll be in Texas in March. I think it's the 13, 14, 15, or 14, 15, 16. I'll figure it out. I mean, that'll be on my website. Also had a single come out last week.
Yeah, I know.
Like I'm Dead.
That's why we're talking.
The drills.
Yeah.
But you know what? I love talking. I love promoting. But you asked me a question about sessions and stuff like that, and it's all become like a blur almost, because there was a time where there's like every day was something. You know, like one day it would be Kelly Clarkson, the next day it'd be Gavin DeGraw, and the day after that it'd be somebody else. And it's funny when those songs come out and they're singles, because I remember being at the gym one day on the elliptical machine, and there was a Kelly Clarkson song followed by a Gavin DeGraw song followed by a Daughtry song, 3 songs back to back while I was at the gym. Okay. And I was like, that's me. That's me too. That's me too. I had to like get off the elliptical machine and go run. I could have run a marathon, but I was so excited. But it's funny how that works. But I mean, getting back to Daughtry like that, like, I mean, earlier on, there was Methods of Mayhem with Tommy Lee. That was 99.
Yeah. Okay, then, so stop. We'll just stop right there. How did you hook up with Tommy Lee?
Well, actually, it's a true Hollywood story. Fashion. I was painting the producer's garage, and Tommy's like, and his name was Scott Humphrey, and Tommy's like, Scott, we need someone to play guitar on this. And Scott said, let's get Phil. And Tommy's like, the dude painting the garage? And lo and behold, I traded the paintbrush for a Les Paul and plays a couple of parts. And Tommy was like, dude, you got to play on the whole record. And then he asked me to do the tour, but I just couldn't do the tour.
Why not?
Other stuff going on. You know, I was working with a band with my first wife, and we had plans already. Yeah, that was Powder. Yeah. And we had plans, and there's no way I could have disappeared for 6 months. Mm-hmm. And I felt bad too, because Tommy's so excited. He goes, you got to be in the band. You got to be in the band. Please be in the band. Please don't make me audition guitar players. Like that. And plus, you played all this stuff. And then when he got a guitar player, he's like, hey, this guy can't figure out some of the parts. Can you come to rehearsal and show him some parts? Like, okay. So, and that happened a couple of times too. That happened with the Daughtry band when that record came out. But it's like, you know, and then you end up being in a circle. So Scott was after Methods of Mayhem, he was producing the second Rob Zombie solo record, Sinister Urge, and Rob was coming by dropping off songs and stuff. And Robin goes, "Hey man, I hear what you're doing on Tommy's record. Will you play on my record too?" And I was like, "Yeah." So then I'm playing on Rob Zombie's record, and then he comes in one day and goes, "Did Alice call you?" I'm like, "Alice who?" He's like, Alice Cooper. We were playing golf last week, and I gave him your number. I said he has to use you. And I'm like, right, Alice Cooper's going to call me. Right? Because I was a huge Alice Cooper fan.
Sure.
There was a point in my life where I listened to the black and white art drawn Alice Cooper band, the Greatest Hits record.
Sure.
I think I listened to that record on repeat, on vinyl, on my little record player for months. I don't even remember how old I was, but I remember the house we lived in Rexdale, Ontario. Anyways, we so you don't think it's going to happen, but Alice didn't call, but his producer Bob Marlette called me and said, "Hey, Alice wants you to be on this record. Can you come by on Wednesday? I got 3 songs that you could play on." And he kind of had an attitude because he didn't know who I was.
Okay.
And you know, oh, Rob told Alice to use you, so now I'm calling, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, sure, man. And you know, here's the funny thing about this. I think it was 2000 that I went and did that, and I didn't have a Les Paul. And I thought, well, if I'm playing on an Alice Cooper record, I should probably get a Les Paul. So I borrowed a Les Paul to play on that record.
Right on.
I had my JMP, my 1976 JMP that I bought in Toronto and brought to California with me. And I had that amp. And
is that Super Lead?
That would do it. Brought some pedals and borrowed Les Paul and a bunch of Frankensteins. It's not Eddie Van Halen's Frankensteins, but I had that, hey, I like building and putting stuff together. I was a tinkerer like Ed was. I was inspired.
Sure.
And so I went in, and I went, you know, it's funny when someone, like if I was a lesser human being, I would have been so intimidated. He was like, okay, I did all the rhythm guitars and the bass myself. I just need some pixie dust. Go. Press this play, record, and I'm hearing it, and bam, I started playing something. And he turned around and goes, that was great. Can you double it? And I'm like, I don't know what I did. Let me hear it. And I guess I impressed him because it went from 3 songs on Wednesday to, hey, can you come back on Friday? I think I have like 9 songs you can play on. And I'm like, great. And then it was really sweet. He goes, what's your rate? And I told him, and he said, I'm going to double it. You really kicked ass.
All right on.
I thought, fuck, this is awesome. This is really the way it should be, right?
Yeah.
You know, that's like a tip. But that was really cool, and I really try to shock when I go into the studio. There was a couple of things that I did. Bouzouki tuning is something where I tune both strings, the E and the B string, to B. And put them in the same nut notch. Okay. And that way you get kind of like a Bouzouki vibe when you start playing those 2 strings together. Yep. And then when you shake it, like with vibrato, they respond differently because they're different gauges. Oh, okay. So I've been doing that for years, like even before I moved to LA. But it's one of those things, and then I did that, and then I did this, and I played this, and I played that, and by the 9th song, he's like, okay, I need something really freaky on this. And I'm like, I didn't want it to look like I emptied my trick bag. So on the spot, I'm like, you got a flat screwdriver? And he's like, what? I goes, I need a flat screwdriver. And I go into the Les Paul, and I unscrew the flat screw in the neck pickup. Okay. So I could put the E string underneath it. Oh, man. Head of the screw. And then I tune that to the high pitch that I want in the low riff. So it's a really, really high, annoying thing, but it's not a whammy pedal, and it's not a harmonic. It's that note, that string under that screw to the note that I desired, and I'm playing this low riff on the low strings, and then occasionally hitting that high note with the upstroke. And he's like, "What the?" I'm like, "Right." And then every time I met somebody who worked for Bob Marlette, "You're Phil X? Dude, I heard about that screw thing. That's amazing." So it's pretty amazing. Yeah. But I mean, I was on the spot, and then I did it again on the Daughtry record. And you know what? If you go to my YouTube channel, there's parts I played on the Daughtry record, or recording on the Daughtry record. There's a video called that, and I show how I did it in that video on a wet floor. All right. So if you want to anybody want to check that out, go check that out. Right on.
What can you tell me about Super Guitar Disney?
What? See that one more time?
What can you tell me about Super Guitar Disney?
Super Guitar Disney?
Yeah, you played on it.
Oh, I did Chim Chimney. Oh, right? From Mary Poppins?
Oh, yeah, you did. Yeah.
Oh, man, that's so weird, right? Man, you got some stuff. You know, it just comes down to pipe, whatever it is. Yeah. It just, you know, out of the blue, you get a call saying, "Hey, we're doing this thing. Can you pick a song that you want to do? Or actually, can we suggest Chim Chimney because no one's done that yet?" Uh-huh. And dude, we're a Mary Poppins family, man.
Oh yeah, of course.
So when they asked me to do that, it was like, you know, my wife would be cooking, she'd come into the studio and go, "What are you working on? Wait a minute. Is that from Mary Poppins?" Like, yeah, we're a Disney family. We go to Disney all the time. Right on. My wife, she's got the way and to just get us on every ride in both parks by 2:00 in the afternoon. Right on. Sometimes multiple times. When a family comes to Disney with us, they're spoiled for life. and then spoiled in that it never happens again. They're like, "Oh man, we went on so many rides when we came here with Lindy's." But anyways, yeah, dude, you know, it's funny because I heard they sent me some samples. I think they sent me a Zakk Wylde thing to check out, and they sent me Mike Orlando thing to check out. And, you know, it's both amazing players. And sure. I feel like, okay, I don't do the full-on shred thing. Well, maybe once in a while. But I definitely wanted to make it really, like, I wanted to really fit the track. They sent me the track, and so they said, do your thing. So I just wanted it to fit. Yeah. And so there's a few moments where I kind of burst into energy, and there's other moments where it's like, okay, this is going to be this, and then I take on the melody, and then elaborate, and then rip, and then thank you, good night. So it was interesting. I don't even like instrumental stuff usually. Yeah. I'm the guy that, like, I go to see instrumental guys, and I'm like, I really miss singing right now. And then 20 minutes in, I'm like, I really, really want to hear a chorus right now.
So, speaking of that, so how early on were you singing and playing guitar?
I mean, I had to sing when I was young. Like, I had a band when I was 14. That's when the first Battle of the Bands was when I was 14. And I shared the singing with another guitar player. And then when I was 15, I had another band, and we tried to get a singer because I love that lineup. Yeah, I love the Zeppelin, Black Sabbath, sure, Van Halen, you know, drums, bass, guitar, and someone up front running the show. Yeah, I love that. And we just could never find a singer, so I would just sing at parties and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And then we'd audition singers, and I go, hey, I like that guy, and the band be like, well, it's not as good as you. I'm like, yeah, but I don't want to sing. So I had to out of necessity. Mm-hmm. And then we did have a singer. So by the time we got a singer, his name was Todd Barhood, and we actually went to this little town outside of Kitchener, Ontario, where we recorded a 6-song EP as the band called Sidonex, which Sidonex is my last name backwards. Okay, very smart. And so Exinides, Sidonex. And they all agreed to it. I remember trying to call the band Sidonex before that band, and the drummer was like, man, that sounds like something you put up your nose when you got a cold. Okay. No, that's Sidonex. So anyways, so Sidonex was the name of the band, and then and we put out that record, and I was going through my Randy Rhoads phase, actually, when we recorded that record, because I listened to a couple of songs that a friend sent me that he digitized, and I'm like, wow, man, it's really fuzzy guitars with like the Randy Rhoads kind of fuzzy, like distortion plus, and there's a chorus and a flange on all the time, and I go, wow, that definitely was that phase, and a little bit of the classic vibe that he had that I borrowed. It's kind of it's a moment. Right, every recording is a moment in time, and then but it just went. And then when the singer wanted to leave, I just started singing again, and but I got better as I got older. I didn't have the range. Like when you go to YouTube and you watch me do Black Dog by Zeppelin, sure, I didn't have that range when I was 18.
Oh, really? How did you develop the range?
Into it because we started doing 3 45-minute sets. Mm-hmm. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and I lost my voice all the time because I didn't know what I was doing. Yeah. But then every time it came back stronger, and then I learned how to pace myself. Yeah. And then I go, wow, if I place that note here, it's not hurting as much, and I can last. I have the endurance to do 3 45-minute sets, 3 nights in a row, and then before you know it, not only is it helping you keep your voice, but your range is going up and up and up and up. And before you know it, you're singing like Communication Breakdown. Yeah. And there are people like, what? Where'd that come from? I'm like, I don't know. Everybody's like, hey, did you take vocal lessons? And I go, I took vocal lessons at one point in Toronto, but I don't think it helped me get to where I'm at. I think where I'm at is trial and error and learning how to use your instrument. Everybody has a different instrument. Like what works for Celine Dion doesn't work for Steven Tyler. No. Well, Steven Tyler's a natural. Yeah. He can do anything at any time. Sure. But when you're like me, I can't do anything at any time. Like, I have to, if I got a drill show coming up, I got to prepare one way. And if I got a Bon Jovi tour coming up, I got to prepare another way. Because I'm singing different things, right?
Yep.
Different styles. When you're a background singer, when you're a lead singer. So the lead singer thing is, if I had a drill show coming up, I would have to sing drills in the car for 3 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah, just to get that voice. And but it's kind of interesting too, because I'll be in the kitchen, and this is where my 11-year-old comes in handy. He's so funny and so smart. It's like talking to an adult. But I'm in there making their sandwiches for lunch, and I start singing drills, and he goes, "Alexa, auto-tune dad." I'm like, dude, that's not nice.
Do you sing the high part on "Living on a Prayer"?
I do.
Do you really?
I sing the title. Even when we do the modulation, dude, that's in my wheelhouse.
Right on.
I do the modulation. People are like, "Who is that?" I take the credit right here. Yeah, that's me. So the modulation is tricky, man. That's way up there.
Yeah, the whole thing is up there.
Yeah.
So Powder, how come Powder never like hit big?
Does the answer, the truth, and it's kind of like a painful truth. Like we were too old.
Oh, really?
Literally. Like when I moved to LA in 97, I was 31. And the Powder thing happens, I was 33, 34. I never looked that old, but our singer was also like a year younger than I was. Uh-huh. And I remember our lawyer freaked out when he saw us. And the manager that we had who got the lawyer, everybody's like, this band is going to take it over the top.
Yeah, yeah.
And I remember him bringing Guy Osseri to see us he was at Maverick at the time. He brought him to see us at the Viper Room. Uh-huh. And he goes, "So what do you think?" And Guy Osseri's like, "Dude, they're old." He goes, "Well, they're not old. They're in their 30s. And they look like they're in their 20s. He goes, "Yeah, if they were 18, I would give them whatever they wanted."
Wow.
And our lawyer was even like, "Dude, you got to be kidding me. 18-year-olds don't write songs like that and perform like that and go all out like that." He's like, "Yeah, but there's no future here for us. You know, they put out one record and then they're 40. Forget it." It's like, it really bummed us out.
Sure.
But things that happened in LA is you don't really change for Powder. We went from playing the Viper Room to like selling out the Key Club, which was 1,200 seats.
Yeah.
Or capacity, by opening for the right person. Like we opened for, remember it was Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Sure.
Slayer.
Yeah.
Right? Spike. I wasn't familiar with the show, but I learned this all later. Spike was a character in the TV show and had a band. And at noon at the Key Club, there was a line around the corner of 16-year-old girls wanted to see Spike's band.
Okay.
So we opened for Spike at the Key Club and won his whole audience. They went nuts. So, and it was funny because I was talking to him after and I had my spiked hair and he's like, "Wow, my name's Spike on TV and you got the coolest spiked hair I've ever seen." I'm like, "Thanks, man." And this girl comes running over, "Hey, hey." And he's going, "Here they come." and she goes, "We came here to see you." And they point at him. "But you guys," pointed at me, "were amazing." And he was like, "Oh." It was kind of funny. So, but that's what happens in LA, man. It's about, if you get the right opening spots, you could win their audience. But yeah, I mean, when I moved to LA, it hit me like there's three things that I thought. One thing was that we didn't have a band, and we moved here and booked a spot at the Roxy without even having a band yet. Because I thought, this is LA, man. There's going to be an amazing drummer at every Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah.
Not true.
No.
Not true.
Maybe Nashville.
And then my experience with bass players was these guys, they all have great gear and no ear.
Yeah.
Nobody's listening. I was used to doing 3 open jams a week in Toronto, where if you didn't pay attention, you got lost. You know, so I was really good at cueing, and I was really good at listening and following. Mm-hmm. And I came out here and nobody did that. Wow, look at this guy. He's got that precision bass and he's got this rig. And then he starts playing and he's not listening. He's just making sure that, oh, my bass is cool. My gear is cool. I look cool. And I'm like, dude, I'm in F. You're in C sharp. What's going on? You know, it was that kind of thing. So, but we ended up finding a drummer in a band that we saw at the Troubadour. Uh-huh. And I just walked up to him and I go, hey, we really need a drummer for a show in 2 weeks. Here's our CD. If you like it, call me tomorrow. He called me. Love this. Would love to do it. When are we rehearsing? I just got to get a bass player. And then my buddy, D. Cernil, bless his heart, he's not with us anymore. But D. Cernil was a guitar player in Svengali up in Canada. And he moved to California way before we did. And I go, dude, I need you to play bass. He goes, done. So D. Cernil played bass, and Paul Crowder was the drummer that we saw at the Troubadour that played drums for us. And we did the show. We put the band together in 2 weeks, did the show, and we were called something else, Flesh Pirates. And then that became Rhino Party, and then that became Powder.
Okay. So,
but when you move to LA and you expect a lot of things, I said 3 things. You think you're going to make noise.
Yeah.
You think you're going to be a star.
Yeah.
But when you open up the LA Weekly and there's 30,000 bands playing that month, you're like, wow, we really got to stand out. Yeah. You know, there's 5 bands at every venue every night of the week. You really got to stand out. If you don't stand out, you're going home. And I had friends move here that went home. Wow. And I'm not going home. We're going to do this. And it was my first wife, Ninette, who just started wearing crazy outfits and then learned how to do Cirque du Soleil silks. And every time we played the Key Club, people just were floored. Wow. And our audience was growing. And then people in Chicago heard about us and hired us to fly to Chicago and play some festivals and stuff like that. And then we played another thing up in San Francisco. And it was something that could have been great. Yeah. We had a record deal with the UK, and then we went to Germany to do some press and all that stuff. Yeah. All this stuff was happening, and it was about songs and a band. It wasn't anybody could have been the guitar player.
Well,
but
I don't think so.
But it was just an experience, you know, and it was too bad. But I keep coming back to this one thing where age didn't matter. And I just felt like, you know what? All the labels and agents and management companies that don't want to do anything for us, whatever. Because there was a fan that I met at that Spike show. Yeah. And she was in a bad car wreck and lost her arm. And one of her friends hit me on our message board, because we had message boards back then. Uh-huh. And she said, hey, you met this girl, Lisa, and she became a huge fan of you guys, and she was in a bad car accident, lost her arm. This is her phone number. If you could call her, she would freak out. And I'm like, done. Give me the number. Yeah. So I call her, and I go, hey, is this Alyssa? And she goes, it's Elisa. And I'm like, okay, cool. Elisa, this is Phil X from Powder. And she was like, stop it. I'm like, what? She goes, this is a cruel joke. And I'm like, no, this is really Phil X from Powder. How could you do this to me? Like, she thought, like it was like David Cassidy calling Marsha Brady. Sure. Right? I don't know if anybody will get that reference, but you got it. So she, you know, and I'm like, once I convinced her that I was Phil from Powder, she was, oh my God, I can't tell you. I go, look, I can't believe that you were in this bad car wreck and you lost your arm and you're in recovery right now. And she goes, yeah, but you know what? Listening to your music helped me get through the whole thing.
Wow, right on.
And it was just a light bulb. It was an epiphany of, oh my God, all that industry bullshit doesn't matter. It's about the fans.
Yeah.
We touch and help heal these fans. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So that changed my life. And you know what? She started selling T-shirts for us.
Right on.
She started selling merch at powder shows because all she wanted to do was help. And I'm like, oh my God. And you kept us in the loop. Hey, I'm getting sized for my prosthetic arm next week. And I'm like, great, man, good luck. Show us pictures. So it was like, it's just an amazing thing that to go through, you know? And then you feel like, how, are you ever going to make it? Or are you ever going to do this? And then in my life, when I started doing sessions, that was like, okay, so now I'm making a really good living playing guitar.
Yeah.
But I want to get on stage,
Yeah.
And then I want, Powder's playing, and then the sessions are happening. And then, at some point, sessions take a dive because budgets are sliced into fractions.
Sure.
And then you still can make a decent living, but then that's like, hey man, so, if you were making $2,000 a day because you're getting lead triple scale through the union and then getting back in because of intellectual property, now it's like, hey, we got $300 or $500, but we're not going to go through the union. And you're like, oh, wait, what happened?
Yeah, exactly.
So now, not going through the union, there's no intellectual property. Like that could be a big check that came every April.
Yeah.
And then that's diminishing, and then the fee is diminishing, and then But I mean, I'm taking sessions. Hey, just call me.
Yeah.
If we can work something out.
Yeah.
So, but at the same time, then I got the call from Bon Jovi in 2011.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a whole other avenue. Wait, I jumped one. There was a whole other avenue before Bon Jovi, which was Fred at Americana.
Tell me about that.
So, we started just doing videos for this channel because people were like, hey, how can I hear this guitar? And Dustin Jack he's the photographer. Uh-huh. And he said, hey, this guy, he called me and goes, hey, this guy in Israel wants to see a video of the guitar. Can you just come by and make a video? And I'm like, sure. And then, so I do that video for that one guy. And then he goes, hey, let's make a couple of more videos. So make another video. I go home. And then he calls me the following week. He says, my boss wants to talk to you. And I'm like, okay. So we go have lunch. And he goes, I think you need to video all my guitars. And he's like, how many you got? I said, how many you got? He goes, I don't know, 500.
Oh, my God.
He wanted me 500 videos. He goes, well, not tomorrow, but over the course, we should just put out a video every month or every week.
Uh-huh.
Was it every week? Yeah, it was every week. And then I talked to Dustin. He goes, it'll be easy. You come in, you shoot 8 guitars, and I just put them out every Friday.
Yeah.
And we'll call it Phil X Friday. And I'm like, okay. So it started with like a 2-minute video. Here's the bridge pickup. Here's the rhythm pickup. Here's the in-between position. See you next week. And then it turned into plugging into an amp that had a little distortion and playing Eruption or something on a 57 Les Paul Jr.
Wow.
In TV Yellow. And then singing Zeppelin and Funk 49 and some, I'd be playing a White Falcon and kicking I Don't Need No Doctor by Humble Pie, and then cracking jokes in between. And then before you know it, it's 15 minutes long. Yeah. And now we have to put them out every 2 weeks because it's too much editing to handle for 1 week. and then it's before we knew it, we had 50 million collective views.
Wow.
And we're all going like, what is happening?
Yeah.
It was pretty nuts.
So when did you start working with Framus? When did you start getting gear endorsements?
Early on. Even when I was just with Powder, the ESP guys saw the band and they loved it. And there was a guy named Gooch at ESP that opened for Phil X and the Drills at at the gig. There was a place called the Gig on Melrose that isn't there anymore.
Okay.
And he goes, man, I want to get you some guitars. And then I wasn't anybody, you know. I was just doing some sessions and stuff like this. And I saw them at NAMM, and Gooch is like, hey, what guitars you want? And I go, that one and that one. Okay, we'll get them for you. What colors? And I go, well, he goes, actually, I don't know if we can get the color you want. So here, as it goes by, it goes, you know, I go to the NAMM show, pick the guitars. It's February. I go, hey man, so when can I expect those guitars? He goes, dude, I'm busy. I'm sending guitars out all the time. We'll get to you. Now it's March. Hey, so it's March. Am I going to see these guitars? And he's going, dude, you just got to be patient. You know, there's other guys ahead of you. And then Rob Zombie calls me because I played on the soundtrack for House of a Thousand Corpses. And he goes, hey, you know the cover that we did of Brick House? I go, yeah. He goes, we're going to play it on Leno with Lionel Richie. Do you want to play guitar? I was like, fuck, yeah. Yeah. And then he goes, there's a you know, a glitch. There's a catch. And I go, what's the catch? He goes, you have to wear zombie makeup. And I'm like, that's not a catch. That's cool. I'll see you there. Anyways, I called Gooch and I go, hey, so on April 1st, I'm playing on Jay Leno with Rob Zombie. Do you think I could get those guitars? And he goes, that's national television. Come and get them tomorrow. So that's what it takes. Mm-hmm. So that was my first endorsement. And then go down the road, I got, you know, I changed from ESP to Yamaha. Mm-hmm. And then from Yamaha, I switched to Framus. I was from Framus for 4 or 5 years. Yeah. And then I finally switched to Gibson. But the thing with Gibson is I always loved Gibson guitars, but I wasn't crazy about the quality control. Uh-huh. And it wasn't for personal reasons. It was for, you know, kids, you know, save all this money and go buy a VOS Burst Les Paul because Jimmy Page had one. Yep. And because they don't know any different, it was because of the quality control, it was probably a dud. Yeah. And any professional player would pick it up and go, this isn't very good. But they don't know any better. They just want Jimmy Page. Yep. And I felt like that wasn't cool. But in 2019, I saw the Gibson guys at the Dallas International Guitar Show. Uh-huh. And I'm talking to them and they go, dude, look, we've changed everything. Under new ownership, we changed the factories. We renovated everything. We're doing great stuff. The quality control is incredible. Yep. Come to the factory, take a tour, and if you don't believe me, you don't believe me. Right. But you got to see it to believe it. And if you ever want to come to Gibson, we'd love to have you. Yeah. So I went to Nashville and I saw the USA shop and the custom factory and all this stuff. And not only did I see that the quality control was incredible, I saw that everybody that worked there was happy to be there. Yeah, like it was an incredible. I'm like, man, I got to come to Gibson. Yeah. Thanks. And then I joined in 2020. Right. And we played at the NAMM show. The Drills played at the NAMM show on the Friday at 5:00. Yeah. And not only was there 500 people jammed into that room, there was 500 people trying to get in. Yep. And in the middle of our set, I had Derek St. Holmes get up and do Stranglehold. Right on. And then when I walked off stage, like, you know, when you walk off stage and it feels good. Okay, that felt really good. I think we killed some people today. Yeah. kill. And then, but JC, who was CEO at the time, came up to me and he goes, okay, that was the performance of the weekend. Holy shit. No more people than anybody. And he was just going on and on. And I was like, well, thanks, man. And I was proud because they just announced our relationship. So it was pretty amazing to come into the fold with that kind of impact. Yeah, right on. Are you going to be at NAMM this year? I am. Right. I got something maybe cooking with, like I've been with Friedman Amps for a while, so sure. we got something cooking right now. I'm hoping that it's going to be ready for NAMM. I just released the J-Rocket PXO Overdrive Boost, which is incredible. Mm-hmm. And I've been working with Klotz cables, and they're sending me all kinds of stuff, even for my Shure Wireless that I use. Shure Wireless, all this stuff. I'm actually working with Amp RX too. They have the brown box.
Oh, yeah.
Very good. They have something new coming up too.
Okay.
So all this stuff, man. And I got, dude, wait, can I show you?
I don't know.
Do I have one?
I don't know.
I do have one. I've been using Star Picks for a long time.
Okay.
With a star hole in it.
Yeah.
But I've been talking to Dunlop.
Oh, right on.
We got an X hole.
Wait.
You can't. You can see it, but nobody can see it because we're okay. And then they're gonna have the Tortex Flex with the X hole.
Oh, that's badass.
Maybe you can post pictures. I'll send you pictures.
Yeah, send me pictures.
Anyways, dude. Yeah. So I gotta get going. If you don't mind.
Yeah, I don't mind.
Okay.
Of course. It's been wonderful talking to you.
I appreciate you.
Yeah, I hope I see you at NAMM.
Hey. If you do see me, come say hi.
Well, if you see me, then come say hi too.
Yeah, I know, but I'm trying to. Let me see what you look like. It's a little square on my phone.
Oh, okay.
Okay, but if you wear that shirt, vintage guitar,
I'm not gonna wear the shirt.
I'll come and I'm gonna come and give you a punch in the shoulder.
Sure. Well, careful. One shoulder's bad, the other shoulder's good.
Which is the good one?
Right shoulder's good, left shoulder bad.
Good, because I'm right-handed.
Okay.
Perfect.
Yeah, that'll work. Well, it's been wonderful talking to you. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Phil.
you too, man. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. No,
Okay,
this is an honor. Thank you very much. Huge
Take
fan.
care, man. Have a good day.
Bye.
Hey, happy holidays.
Likewise. Merry Christmas.
Thanks, buddy. Take care.
Right back at you. Thank you. Bye. Thanks for listening to Have Guitar Will Travel. You can catch up on all the things I'm doing at thedeadlies.com, and I'm on all the social media platforms as well. And please support Vintage Guitar and all the wonderful things they do, because they do many, many wonderful things for us guitar players. Thanks. Please subscribe. Please tell a friend, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye, guys.